Let's talk about counting calories. And the concept is really simple. It's based on the calories in versus calories out model of weight loss. That if you just go on a calorie deficit, you're gonna lose weight. And really the most mainstream way of doing this is IIFYM, or if it fits your macros. And this diet, this way of eating is still as prevalent, especially on social media. This is still what a lot of trainers, nutritionists, dietitians, macro coaches, or even your doctor, your kind of overweight doctor giving you diet advice. This is what they push as the best way to lose weight. Just go on a calorie deficit. And it's such an easy sell because, hey, as long as it fits your macros, it's all good. Eat whatever you want. And this was really popularized by the bodybuilding community. Again, the concept sounds great, especially when you're scrolling through Instagram and you see all these people losing weight and they're getting shredded. And this is when people post pictures of their dinner and they're eating Pop-Tarts. Or they had In-N-Out burger and then they put the macros of their food. So I can totally see why people are drawn to this. I know because I used to do it. It's awesome to think that you can have whatever you want as long as it fits your macros. But I think deep down, we all know that something is off about this. If it sounds almost too good to be true, it usually is. Before we dive in deeper, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to get notified every time I post a new video every week. Okay, let's break down the concept of tracking macros. It's basically an advanced version of counting calories for all intents and purposes. Because now you're also accounting for macronutrients. That's what macros is short for. And your macros are fat, protein, and carbs. And as long as you hit your daily numbers, you're good. But if you follow that concept literally, that's where the problem starts. Why? Because it's such an oversimplistic way of looking at the human body. It's way too big of a blanket statement. It doesn't address your body's physiological response to certain macros. It doesn't address the quality and nutritional profile of the foods you're eating. It doesn't address satiety. It doesn't address your body's hormonal response. It doesn't address nutrient timing or bio-individuality. No, as long as you hit your macros ratio and numbers, you're technically good. And the most popular split out there is 40, 30, 30. 40% carbs, 30% fat, and 30% protein. And that's actually not the worst, I guess, but it doesn't make it optimal. But some people, especially the ones that are addicted to carbs, I like to call them carbivores, they can start their food at like 50% carbs and they go higher from there. So if you were to follow IIFYM and your calorie counting app spits out 1500, so that's your daily calorie deficit number that you have to hit, you can technically eat 1500 calories of protein powder, Pop-Tarts, rice crackers, egg whites, protein bars, and you're gonna lose weight. And that's where the problem starts. Full transparency though, you will lose weight at the beginning by following IIFYM, even if you eat all the crappy food I just mentioned. But the key word here is at the beginning. If you put yourself on a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. I would be lying if I didn't admit that. But you need to ask yourself better questions. Are you gonna be healthy by just cutting calories and eating junk? Are you gonna feel good? But most importantly, are you gonna be able to maintain your results? The answer is no. That is a hot negative. That's why I'm never impressed by people's before and after pictures after 8 weeks of being on a crash diet / calorie deficit. No, show me how you look 8 months later. I wanna see your after picture because that usually tells a better story. In fact, counting calories, this oversimplistic calories in versus calories out model, has been shown to have a 99% failure rate. And for the rest of this video, I'm gonna show you its 5 biggest flaws and what you need to do instead in order to actually get results. Sustainable results. Listen, I initially transformed my body 8 years ago, and this is the physique I'm able to maintain up to this day, and I don't actively count calories. Number 1. Counting calories, or calories in versus calories out's biggest flaw, is that it assumes that your metabolism stays stable. And this is my all-time favorite nonsense BS comment from the calories in versus calories out zealots. They'll say, it's the first law of thermodynamics, bro. You can't break the law of physics. Yeah, I know. But for that argument to hold, you would have to assume that your body is a closed system and your metabolism stays stable. Both of which your body is neither. Let me explain. If you look at actual studies, instead of just throwing that presumptuous statement that you probably just heard from your bro at the gym, your metabolism can actually go up or down by as much as 40%. Let's relate this back to what happens when you just start cutting calories and you go on a calorie deficit. It works at the beginning, but then the weight loss stops. That's when you hit the dreaded weight loss plateau. But it's not because you're counting your calories wrong. It's because your body is an adaptation machine, and it's adapted to this semi-starved state by lowering your metabolism. And nothing illustrates this more than the Biggest Loser contestants. They go on these massive calorie deficits, they exercise like crazy, and they lose weight initially. But after the show, because they've severely lowered their metabolism, they end up putting all the weight back on. Why do you think there's never any reunion show? My point is, you can't just go on a calorie deficit and not expect your body to adjust to it. But if you have no idea that this is happening, our first instinct is to cut even more calories. But again, your body eventually adapts to this. And this becomes a vicious cycle until you get to a point where you're eating less than 1,000 calories every day. You're barely eating anything, you're hungry, you're tired all the time, you have no energy, you get hangry easily. Worst of all, you're not losing weight. Sound familiar? Okay, the second biggest flaw of counting calories is that it reduces food to just a number. I have such a big problem with this because the thinking is that 100 calories of Fruit Loops is the same as eating 100 calories of eggs. If you are under that belief, you've got your work cut out for you. You don't need me. You need a miracle. Listen, you do not need to be a rocket scientist to deduce that 100 calories of cereal is gonna have the same fattening effects as 100 calories of eggs. The former is made out of refined carbs and sugar, and you're gonna get a rush of blood glucose when you eat it, which is then gonna trigger a huge insulin spike, which is your storing hormone, and it's gonna shift your body into fat storage mode. Because your body can only be in two states. You can be either in the fed state or the fasted state. All you need to remember is high insulin from eating a lot of refined carbs and sugar blocks fat burning. It puts you in fat storage mode. Eating Fruit Loops also results in increased inflammation and increased cortisol. And that combination is gonna cause your body to increase sugar cravings. While the latter, I'm talking about eggs here, is an extremely nutrient-dense unprocessed food. It's basically nature's version of a multivitamin. It's got something like 13 vitamins and minerals, most of which are in the yolk. So that's the healthiest part of the egg. So stop eating boxed egg whites. Eggs are also high in fat and protein, both of which activate your satiety hormones. Your body only has to release a minimal amount of insulin because you don't have a massive spike in blood glucose and your hormones stay balance. But this concept of treating all calories equal has given birth to a multi-billion-dollar industry, which leads me to flaw number 3. It leads to the consumption of what I like to call Frankenfoods. You're eating food-like products that have been processed to the nth degree. This is when you see people start eating low-calorie ice cream like Halo Top, margarine, skim milk, low-fat cheese, and low-calorie and low-fat versions of foods, like those 100-calorie packs of Oreos, and then drinking diet soda. And this is where the dietary fat phobia starts for a lot of people. We tend to gravitate towards these Frankenfoods because they're lower in calories. The problem is when fat gets taken out of these foods because it's calorically dense, food manufacturers have to replace it with something else to make it taste good. And that something else is sugar, and they're very good at hiding it. There's something like over 60 different names for sugar. Listen, fat doesn't make you fat. If anything, if you're not eating enough fat, you're probably fat from eating these Frankenfoods instead. The higher the processing your food goes through, the higher the insulin response, the worse it is for you. That's why diet soda is one of the biggest lies in the history of nutrition. Nothing that sweet, even though it's 0 calories, gets a free pass once it enters your system. In fact, diet soda is often linked to weight gain, not weight loss. Why? Because it destroys your gut microbiome. We simply did not evolve to drink this stuff. It doesn't matter that it says 0 calories. That means nothing. The other problem here is, again, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Food manufacturers spend top dollars making these foods as highly palatable as possible. Your brain literally lights up like a Christmas tree when you eat these foods. All you need to know is this: there are no bad foods, only processed ones. Number 4, it doesn't address nutrient timing. Listen, what you eat and when you eat are equally as important when it comes to weight loss. Counting calories provides you with the macros, but it doesn't really say when you should be having those macros or how you should be having them. For example, let's use 1500 as your calorie deficit number. In theory, you can eat 15 of those 100-calorie Oreo packs and you're gonna lose weight. Initially, maybe, but you're not gonna be healthy in the long run. And that's the other problem with just counting macros, is it leads to this myth of eating 6 small meals a day or snacking all day to keep your metabolism high. That is literally one of the worst things you can do if you're trying to lose weight. Because again, every time you eat, your insulin goes up, especially if you keep eating those Frankenfoods. And high insulin blocks fat burning. So think about this. If you start your day with breakfast cereal, which should really be called breakfast candy, or maybe you have toast instead, which isn't really any better, and then you eat a granola bar mid-morning, then you have lunch, then you have a protein bar mid-afternoon, then you have your pre-workout, or you sip on Gatorade during your workout, and then you drink your protein shake afterwards, and then you have dinner, and then you have a little snack after that. That's easily 7 meals right there. I don't care if all the food you ate from those 7 meals fits your macros. You're not gonna lose weight or get sustainable results. You're basically putting food in your mouth every 2 to 3 hours, which puts you in fat storage mode all day. And I have a separate video about other popular weight loss myths, so make sure you check it out. Now, why is nutrient timing so important? Well, you can bet that there is a world of difference with how your body reacts when you're in fat storage mode all day from eating all day, and your only break really is when you sleep, versus having a compressed eating window of, let's say, eating all your food in a 6 to 8 hour eating window. Number 5, it doesn't address satiety. I want you to pay attention. This is very important. Weight loss, in its very essence, is not about counting calories. It's about controlling hunger. Why? Because being hungry sucks. Like, I have never met anyone who enjoyed the feeling of being hungry. And you can really only fight hunger for so long. You're literally going against your hunger hormones. You're going against your physiology here, and your physiology will always win. Let's circle back to eating real food versus Frankenfood example. What do you think is more satiating for breakfast? Fruit Loops with skim milk, or bacon and eggs and avocado? The former is made out of refined carbs and sugar, which will cause a huge spike in your blood glucose, resulting in a spike in insulin, which then results in a subsequent blood sugar crash and insulin crash. Your body treats this as if you're about to go in a state of hypoglycemia. So it sends hunger cues through the hormone ghrelin, so that's your hunger hormone, that you need a quick hit of fuel. Notice how you're always hungry mid-morning or mid-afternoon after a high carb, high sugary meal? And what do we usually reach for? More of those Frankenfoods. Same thing if you drink a can of diet soda, you're usually hungrier afterwards. Whereas if you eat bacon and eggs and avocado, it's high in fat and protein, and it's gonna activate your satiety hormones and turn off your hunger hormones. And you won't feel the need to snack in between meals. Plus, breaking news, you have no calorie counter in your stomach. That's why drinking 0-calorie diet soda is the biggest scam ever. You do, however, have hunger and satiety hormones. You should focus on regulating that instead by eating real food. And I've seen this firsthand with my students. They've been able to achieve amazing results, and they've never counted calories. They just focus on eating real food. Okay, let's pivot. This video would be incomplete and completely biased if I didn't mention that you can count calories and do IIFYM the right way. In fact, it can be an unbelievably powerful tool when it comes to dialing in your nutrition. But with great power comes great responsibility. You have to do it properly. What I wanted to talk about in this video is what I see that is very common, where people royally mess up on this. It can be used as a powerful tool, but it needs to be done the right way. I cannot stress that enough. What I mean by that is if you use the right macronutrient ratio by going high fat, moderate protein, and very low carb, because it's the best ratio to moderate your insulin levels and set your goal to achieve metabolic flexibility, and you achieve that all-powerful metabolic state by revolving your diet around single ingredient, mostly unprocessed, nutrient-dense foods, and you eat organic vegetables, pastured animals, or the highest quality food you can afford, counting macros can be an unbelievably powerful tool, especially if you combine it with time-restricted eating or intermittent fasting. And my entire channel is basically dedicated towards achieving metabolic flexibility and intermittent fasting, so make sure you check out my other videos, especially if you're new. I'm also gonna link to my programs at the top right-hand corner here if you just want a proven step-by-step plan on how to do this properly. Listen, at the end of the day, the human body is an amazing, sophisticated, and complex system. And reducing it down to just counting calories and adding it all up on your macro calculator is not doing it any justice. It's more than just a mathematical equation, and that's where people go wrong with it. It's when people fall into the trap of eating Frankenfoods. You're better than that. But if you use counting calories and tracking macros the right way, by also factoring in nutrient timing and eating the best quality foods you can afford, optimizing your hormones, making supportive lifestyle choices, and working on achieving metabolic flexibility, you might just unlock the blueprint to fat loss. Just remember this: calories matter, but hormones count more. Food is information, not just a math equation. The next question then becomes, how are you actually supposed to eat if you want to lose weight? Because here's the thing, 80% of your body composition is determined by your diet. You can't just freestyle this part. Do you have a proven plan that you can follow? To help you with that, I want to give you a free copy of my Lean Body Blueprint. This is how I melted all the fat around my stomach without depriving myself of my favorite foods or wasting hours at the gym. It's a simple 4-step process specifically designed for busy professionals, and it's the exact same blueprint that I teach to all my private coaching clients, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. If you want to be the next success story, then download your free copy of the Lean Body Blueprint right now. There's going to be a link somewhere at the top here or in the description box. Just click on it, type in your email, and I'll send it to you right away. All right, that's all I've got. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post a new video every week. And hey, leave a comment below if you have any questions about this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. First, a high five.